Hello, welcome to Fatty to Fit. You can see that there's three of us here. Can you guess the fatty? I don't know. Is it her? No, it's not. My name is Ilana. I am probably the fatty. My brother, John, asked me, my brother John said, hey, I have a show called Fatty to Fit. Will you join me? I don't know why he wants me here. No, I'm joking. I volunteer for this, but this is my brother, John Andrew. He is a physical therapist, and he will introduce himself more in a little bit. And this is my goddess, sister-in-law, Angel. Look at this. Wow! She's an inspiration. We can't believe she's in our family. But John, would you please introduce yourself a little bit more?
I've been a physical therapist for over 20 years and been able to learn a lot of things working with patients, how people get hurt, made mistakes on myself getting hurt, lifting weights, exercising, seeing patients get hurt. So not necessarily today in this video, but down the road, we're definitely going to touch on how to exercise and reduce your risk of getting hurt, because there's a lot of common mistakes that people make. And I want to help you avoid those mistakes, because nothing's harder on not reaching our fitness goals than when you get hurt. But today, we're going to focus on just kind of getting in shape. This is more geared towards probably adults, but this would work for younger people too, you know, in their 20s and so forth. But we'd like to briefly talk about, you know, who is this video for? This video would be for somebody who maybe has lost sight of their fitness goals. Like my sister and I both talked about how we started careers. You're going through school. You get out, you're working, you have family, and 17 years ago I opened a business, and I'll have Alana jump in here in a second too, and I kind of lost sight. I was focusing on others, which isn't a bad thing to do, but I was so focused on others that my fitness got left by the wayside. I used to do some bodybuilding, not at a pro level, but was competitive at a lesser level, and learned some things, so that'll be interjected here. But I've definitely lost my way a little bit, so Alana and I are going to be the fatties that are going to work towards better, and we thought it would help to legitimize what we're talking about by having the fit person here, because she's going to offer tips that she has used and that certainly I have used and Alana has used in the past, but just because you know something doesn't mean you apply it. So Alana, why don't you tell me a little bit how you feel like you've gotten to where you are?
It's so hard listening to this, because as I'm sitting here, I came to you last week, and it's because we had Easter, what was it, a week ago? And I was sitting here in the corner eating my Cadbury eggs, or whatever those delicious eggs were from Costco, and tired, feeling okay, but I was watching Angel serve potatoes with her biceps flexing. And she's just doing so well. You're always in such a great mood. It's an inspiration to see that you can be so fit past your 20s. You're in your 30s?
40s.
Oh my word. So look at, this is amazing. So
Now I am like a week out from a bodybuilding show. I do compete in figure, and I have competed on and off. Since I was 18, so for over 20 years I've competed, I've judged, I've been submerged in the industry and then out of the industry, and this year decided to get back in it. Did a show a couple years ago in bikini and put on a little bit more muscle and wanted to do figure. Again, I feel like it fits me a little better personality wise and for what my shape is. As far as professional wise, I'm an emergency room nurse, and then of course mom at home, and do all those things. But yes, I do prioritize both fitness and nutrition, and try and help my family do the same. But holidays are kind of one of those things where you do tend to go off track. This year I wasn't able to, just because I'm so close to a show. But that's why I am at the extreme of lean at this point. I'll reverse diet coming out of it, and so there will be a transition. But this is not a sustainable level of low body fat. This is like a peak for competition, and then go the other direction slowly.
Well, the reason I was talking about that is it got me thinking when I was driving home, and I was thinking, anytime I look at the life decisions I've made, I look to see what teenage Ilana would think. And I was thinking, teenager Ilana, would she be okay with the fact that I'm over 200 pounds? Teenage Ilana would say, hell no, what is wrong with you? I mean, seriously, what happens when we get older, and it's so sad. It's so sad. Even though I'm a happy person. I'm happy with my life. I'm happy with my career. But for some reason, I keep ignoring the physical state of my body. I put myself last.
I think it happens so slowly.
Yes.
I think it happens so slowly, so insidious. Like I was doing the math, and since my last bodybuilding contest, I put on roughly 50 pounds. Again, that wasn't probably a healthy weight, but that's like 3 pounds roughly a year for the last 20 years or so. So it's so slow that you think, well, 3 pounds, I don't look so bad. And then another year goes by and you're up another 2 or 3 or 5. And so it's just so insidious that it just happens until one day you're like, I'm tired. I don't move as easy. It's harder to do things that are active, and because there's 50, 60 extra pounds there. And so, it's just insidious. And then something that I'd like to mention that many of you can relate with is, you have kids. You want to be there for them. You want to be there for family, for my wife, for my sister. We have reasons but we don't always connect the health, our weight with our health, but it reduces our risk of cancer for a little lighter, a bunch of many different cancers, diabetes. We have diabetes in our family. Many of my grandpa, grandma, aunts and uncles, my mom was insulin dependent diabetic, so Alana and I have that in the back of our mind as well.
I understand what you were saying about that. What I noticed is the slipping of standards.
Yes.
It's so funny because the standards in my career have always been up here, and I keep raising my standards. Yes. But with this, my standards, why have I allowed that? So when I first was diagnosed with sleep apnea, I'm on a CPAP machine. Oh, that's horrible. I'm going to have to lose some weight to get rid of that. That was years and years ago. Then diagnosed with diabetes. Oh, that's awful. I need to do something about that. And then, high blood pressure, fatty liver disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is what I have now. I finally connected the dots. Oh, that is going to reduce. I really am at risk for dying sooner than I want to. Yeah. And what happens to a lot of us is we work so hard to get the family we want, the relationship we want, the house we want, the career we have.
Yep.
And then you work so hard and you see then people can't enjoy it.
Yeah,
that's what's happened to me.
They start to fall apart. And things that are largely preventable. There's so much. So that's going to be the focus of what this channel is going to be about, is things that you can do. Making better choices with eating, making better choices with being active, with weight training, with your lifestyle. These are lifestyle things. We're going to try to structure this in a way where it's not a fad. I've never been big into jumping on the latest fad. It doesn't work. Even getting ready for a contest, I haven't seen Angel ever do anything that I would consider a fad. She's done it very gradually over months and months with consistency, like Easter. I was going off the beaten path. It's taken me a week to get back to where I was weight-wise, because it's not like I porked out, but I just ate the Easter eggs and the candy and the mashed potatoes, where she had salad, turkey, vegetables. She didn't starve herself, but she focused on good things. So that's what this is going to be about, is making those choices. We're going to try to go over a few basic things today, just in general structure, and we'll get more specific as we go. We'll try to give some sample meals. Generally speaking, we're going to mix a protein and a carbohydrate. So that's what this is going to be about, for the reasons that we've talked about.
And I'm the first guinea pig, so to speak. I'm going to be putting into practice the things that you're going to be telling me to do. Awesome. It kills me because you're telling me what to do. But I will listen to you. Well, I'll listen to her. Maybe have a go through her. he's actually an excellent physical therapist. I would say very well renowned.
But I'm the
in
little
his
brother.
area. But yes, he is the little brother, so I don't want him telling me what to do.
But I'll be doing it with her, so that should make it more tolerable.
And
'cause I
it
need
kills
help.
me when he says he's a fatty. He is not a fatty, but he wants to get in better shape, but it is karma, because I used to tease him about being overweight, because you were a little bit overweight as a kid until he found weights, and woo, things changed. Now I'm the fatty, and he doesn't tease me. He should tease me. You should. Now's your chance.
Oh, that's terrible.
But yeah, so I'll be the guinea pig, and I promise to commit to the principles you're telling me, because I'm sick of being this way.
Me too.
I'm sick of it.
Let's do it. We've had some drift. So join with us if you want to do this.
Yes.
Let's do this. Take control of your health. This is within your control.
I know there are people just like me out there.
Yeah, me too.
I know there are people that, when I go to town, I see a lot of people that look like me, and it makes me sad, because I know that I'm not comfortable.
And
I know I know
it's
you're
not
not
comfortable
comfortable either if you're
hard to move. Joints can hurt more with more weight. And I also remember Mom being on dialysis, holding her hand as she was on the machine.
Yes.
And her looking at me, meaning it, looking at her son and saying, John, don't get diabetes.
Yes.
And what have I done over the last 17 years? I gradually let my weight creep up to where I'm, so anyway, there's lots of reasons to make a change, and sometimes it just doesn't connect. So join in there with us. I've got a few points that I'd like to make. But any other points that you guys want to make before we go down, like talking about protein?
Does the goddess wish to speak?
It's really nothing complex. I don't feel like anything I do is extra special or out of the realm of what somebody can do. It's just being consistent with what you're eating, what you're putting in your body, and how much you're moving. And do focus on, like we'll talk about, your protein intake is one of the most important nutrients that you can get in addition to fiber. I don't do well on low-fat diets, and so I always keep carbs kind of high in my diet. I keep fats at a healthy level, but I'll focus, all of my meals revolve around protein intake, and then I filter the other nutrients in. So
when you say high, just to clarify, she actually emphasizes protein, and then she fills in the remaining calories with quality carbs and fat. So to give an idea, when you say you eat around 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight?
At least at this point, because I am in a calorie deficit, and so I don't want my body ideally robbing from my muscle. So I'm going to keep those protein intakes high. Plus it improves satiety, so you feel better, you feel full longer if you eat protein. It supports your skeletal muscle, which in turn supports longevity through better metabolic health in all realms of things: blood pressure, diabetes, kidneys, brain. There's numerous studies, countless studies that are showing that better muscle on your frame improves longevity through better metabolic health.
I'm so glad you're saying that, because it seems like some people, when they lose weight in an unhealthy way, and I don't know how that's defined to other people, but to me, when I see someone and they look like a deflated balloon, that concerns me. And so I'm glad to hear you say that, because I wanted to really focus on gaining as much muscle mass as possible.
Especially being female, like that's ultimately why I finally got back in the gym. I'd been out of the gym for about 10 years, and John kept preaching to me. He's like, you have all the risk factors for osteoporosis in the long term. You're white, you're female, and you aren't overweight. And so if you fit in that category, you are at very high risk for osteoporosis. There's a chronic decline in bone density after the age of like early 20s. Really, it kind of levels off, and then it starts dropping after, I think, like 35 if you aren't resistance training. Especially
at 50 with women with hormone changes, it picks up the pace. So we want to really maximize your bone mass, bone density. I do see women, sometimes men, but a lot of women in the clinic who get the diagnosis of osteopenia and then osteoporosis. So actually, losing weight in a proper manner, keeping your muscle up, makes a difference. Muscle mass and bone density run together, which makes sense. If you have muscles pulling on the bones, that's going to help you keep your bone density up. So anyway, that's just an important thing. You build bone, into your 20s, and then it maintains until your 50s, and then it starts to decline. But it can even decline before that if nutritionally you aren't supporting your bones. And strength training is key because you have to stress your bones. Our body's an amazing demand system. It's into efficiency. If you're not using your muscles, it's not going to keep the muscles around. If you're not stressing your bones, it's gonna dampen that bone density a little bit, it's a great system, right? That we're made that way, but at the same time, it's also can catch us when we just fail to move, fail to feed our body properly. Then it's gonna, we're gonna lose some bone density and more muscle than we need to.
So let me ask you a couple of questions. First, as far as how much protein you should have a day. So for example, for a 200-pound woman, how many grams of protein should that woman be aiming to have?
So really, I went off of what John suggested because he has a very strong nutritional. I have a functional nutritional background, but he has academic nutrition background.
So I'm not a licensed nutritionist. They would always trump what I say. But what I shoot for is 1 pound of protein, or 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal lean body weight. So for me,
lean body weight.
I'm 200 pounds ish. So for me to get 200 grams of protein, it's a great question. It'd be really hard.
Yeah.
So
especially in a calorie deficit, where
True.
you're trying to drop fat.
Yeah.
Make this point, and then I'll work back around to that because it'll be confusing if I base protein intake off of you. Most people aren't where you're at. So for me, I'm 200 pounds, and so if I were going to get my protein intake, I'd probably a pretty good weight around 160 to 180 pounds, somewhere in there. So if I got even 160 grams of protein, that would be plenty. It was 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So Angel, I hesitate to use her as an example for everybody because it's confusing because right now she's 120 pounds ish, but she's at a very low body fat that isn't sustainable. So she's probably eating at least 120 grams. She's probably eating more like 130 to 135. But that 1 gram per pound of body weight is a good down and dirty just starting point. If you're around that, you're okay.
So Alana, around 200 pounds, what should she be eating for protein intake, would you suggest?
Without having taken body fat calipers, to honest, I don't know to really nail that
Just
down.
assume it's bad. It's bad.
If weight-wise, what weight did you feel healthy at?
135.
135. So let's say, 135, to 140-ish. Probably 135 grams of protein probably would get you in a good place. You wouldn't be protein deficient there. So you will use that 1.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. So that's kind of what I would shoot for. And that kind of would align with, what Angel's doing. So how many grams of protein do you think you eat on a normal day?
At this point, I'm at least 140 grams, but I've been in a calorie deficit for kind of a prolonged period, so I do try and make sure that protein intake is up so that I'm not robbing from my current protein, like muscles.
And when you're not cutting, that actually still makes sense because you're.
I really don't change protein intake whether I'm cutting or not. I keep the protein intake high.
And you're normal. Let's say if you're not cutting, what would be a normal body weight for you in the off season?
I'm very comfortable between 125 and 130. So as far as strength, endurance, energy, all of that goes.
So that 130 pounds, 130 grams that you're doing, 140, you're kind of still within that one. So that 1 gram does get you pretty close.
That's good to know. Thank you for that. I wanted to ask something that I really do want to know the answer to this. I kind of feel like it is such an uphill battle. It's scary to start. Can somebody I'm in my mid-50s. I have all my health things are under control, but I know I'm not going to look like Angel, but can I actually in my mid-50s gain muscle? I've got I've got little things here and there, like my knees aren't too good, my hips don't feel too good, I have a lower back problem, like I think most Americans, and if you don't have a lower back issue in your 50s, you haven't lived life. But really, but can people with these kinds of issues get better?
Absolutely, absolutely. The body's never done. What I like to tell people every day is the body's never done. It always wants to get better. It always wants to adapt to what stresses you give it. Our bodies always adapt to exercise, no matter what age. They've gone to nursing homes and taken people that are very deconditioned. I love those studies, and they can double and sometimes triple and quadruple their strength when they're fairly sedentary. People like us who aren't that sedentary, we can still increase our fitness. We can increase our muscle. We can increase our cardiovascular fitness. Now, with somebody like Angel, where they've been exercising for years, it's harder to gain muscle, in a natural way. And just as a side point here, Angel is a natural trained athlete. Now, I'm not making any judgment on anybody who isn't, but I just wanted to mention that because I wanted to make it relatable to what most people would do. Going back to your question.
So me in my 50s, as a woman, I can gain muscle.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. You can gain muscle because you haven't been lifting weights. You haven't been training. So in a sense, we're taking muscles that have been doing daily activities, and we're going to be exposing them to more of a stress than what they've been getting with the weight training, and there'll be growth there.
And nutritionally focusing on better things that you're putting in your body can also help change your body composition.
That's so fascinating that just that can change my body composition. I never thought about that. I mean, I know I've joked this is a body made from chips and dip, but it's not funny anymore. It's not funny because it's fatty liver.
I would say nutrition is at least 75 to 85% of weight loss, of body physique. I mean, you can look at somebody, and not to be judgmental, but you can kind of tell what they put in their body and what they do with their body based on how they look.
So on this channel, you guys are going to be talking about nutrition. You'll have an episode about what to eat, and you'll be talking about safe exercises to do.
Absolutely. So you can be successful, not get hurt. You have a nagging back or a knee. I'm going to point out we'll do some of the exercises, but I'll highlight substitutions or modifications to that exercise if you have a back issue or you have a knee issue. And honestly, there'll be a lot of exercise I will not include because they have a high risk for injury, and we're just not going to go there.
This is fantastic. I have access to a physical therapist who actually, you do rock, John. I know you do.
Okay.
And the most beautiful fitness model. Well, what do you call yourself? A competitor? I don't know what to call you.
Yeah, I would say bodybuilding competitor.
Lifelong fitness. You're a fitness enthusiast more than
That
anything.
is that. That is that.
I do compete as kind of a occasional challenge to push myself a little farther, push myself a little better, re-motivate myself. So the competition for me is more of a motivation to keep myself on track and improve myself. But yeah,
You're lifelong fitness.
am forever, I would say, focused on eating right and moving, whether it be in the gym or outside or all of it together.
So we encourage you to follow along with us.
Yeah, please do.
Because this is hard. This is hard. And it would be good if we're doing it together. And so we'll at least have weekly posts. And I'll be coming here once a week. And it only takes public shame and humiliation for me to know that I have to work out. And maybe I'll start liking it. Do you think I might start liking working out again?
I think feeling good is the best thing to keep a person motivated, is feeling better, seeing some progress. So
okay.
Yes, I think that'll be its own reward. But there is always like Angel said, there's times where you just got to do it, right? It isn't always fun.
Yes.
You said motivation.
Discipline trumps motivation. So
Discipline trumps motivation.
you can be motivated
It does.
You can be motivated for a period, but motivation always drops off, and you have to implement that discipline until your motivation comes back for whatever reason.
Yes.
So there's times where I am not motivated, but discipline says go to the gym, do your cardio, eat your good meals. Like, don't eat that. So,
okay.
yes.
Don't look at me, I
And
feel
as hard-
judgment, I
As
know,
hard
it's
as
hard.
it may be, I would suggest doing before photos. You don't have to show anyone.
This is the before photo.
Like-
Go away! Go away! I've tried to holler at it for a long time, but I
hate you.
I have done that. They talk about speaking it into existence. You are going to go away.
We don't hate ourselves,
No.
just as we hate the conditioning. So I want to make that clear. We're not completely mental, just partially.
Well, I always feel sorry for those people on The Biggest Loser. They would humiliate them with their exercise bras and going on the scale. You never watched that, did you? I did. I would root along with them, but they would make them wear these awful outfits.
But if you
Don't
want,
make me wear.
but
No,
if you
there's
want
not
that,
gonna.
Alana said she would do that for you. She's very willing.
Oh my goodness!
If
we
that'll
need
make
to
you
stop.
watch, we can do that.